Hey everybody, it's Sunday and that means it's time for another writing video. This is week 4, video 4. This week we're going to talk about dialogue, but let's have some real talk with Lisa first. There is some straight up laziness going on today. I don't feel that great, so I'm just plopping myself on the couch and I'm just going to give you a few quick tips on how to improve your dialogue, and let's just get right into it, okay? First tip I'm going to give you, first thing we're going to talk about is kind of logistical, and that is adding tags to your writing. What are tags? Tags are those things you say to kind of indicate who's saying what. It can be as simple as he said, she answered. Of course, examples like that are throwaway. They don't really add anything to your writing, but they're necessary. You need to put some kind of tag or indication of who's saying what, probably every third or fourth line of dialogue in a long, protracted exchange, because otherwise the reader's going to lose track of who's saying what. That's something that happens so often, and it's a really common complaint that people have lost the thread of the conversation, and tags are a great way to add it. What I would like you to do, instead of just adding these boring throwaway tags, is to give your writing a little more oomph with what we call action tags, where you're given a little bit of business, a little bit of physical activity to your exchange. It's a way of making sure the reader knows who's saying what, but it also gives a little bit of added interest as well. How do you do that? Pretty simple. Say you have a couple that's having an argument, and she says, "I give up," and she throws her hands up. So you don't have to say she says. She can just be, "I give up," and she's threw her hands in the air. So you're indicating who's saying it, how they're saying it, and you're not actually adding these boring words that people just read over. Say you have a couple that's having a sweet conversation, and he says, "Of course I love you," as he reaches over and wipes a little bit of ketchup off the side of her face because she's been shoving fries in her face or something because she's nervous. You know what I'm saying? It's a way to add interest and physicality to your writing, which is really important, especially in dialogue. What you don't want to do, what you want to avoid doing, people don't like to put tags in because they realize that it's not that interesting. So as a way to avoid it, they put people's names in dialogue, right? And that's it's a super beginner writer move, okay? Because people don't talk that way. Like if you're just having a conversation with your friend, do you say, "Joe, why are you wearing green today?" Or "Becky, I wish you wouldn't have done that." Like, people don't talk that way. The only time you use somebody's name is if there's a reason, if there's some kind of something going on that you're angry or you want to get their attention or something, that you might use their name. Otherwise, your dialogue doesn't sound true, and it rings with like that inauthenticness that you want to avoid. Which leads me to my next tip, which is something that's important in making sure your dialogue does have that authenticity to it, and that's to read your dialogue out loud. You might feel foolish doing it. I don't care. You should always do it. Put yourself in a room where no one else is around and just read it. It'll help you determine where your tags need to go. It'll help you determine if your dialogue is moving along at a quick pace, and it just helps you to see like where you have a clunker or something that pulls you out of the story. One of the things that pulls people out of stories really quickly are things people do to try to make their writing more authentic. And that's like using dialect or phonetics or something to kind of make it seem realer. But really all that it's super off-putting. And when you read it out loud, you see that it has maybe some kind of clunkiness to it that you don't want. So it really helps you avoid the pitfalls of writing that just slow your writing down. You don't want to use it. So that's a really important tip when you read your dialogue out loud, it helps you structure. It helps you know when you need to clarify something. That's a big thing too. Like maybe you have a character that says, "Get over here." Your reader needs to know what your intent is and how they're saying it. Are they saying "get over here" seductively, or are they saying it angrily? And when you read it out loud, you kind of naturally put the inflection that you want it to have. So okay, I got to go back there and do that. because it's important that the reader understands there's a whole lot of difference between saying get over here because you want to hug somebody and get over here because you want to hit somebody. And you don't want the reader deciding what that intent is. You want to tell that to them. So those are two really important tips as far as adding tags and reading it out loud, adding some interest to your dialogue. It won't slow it down as much as you think it is to clarify things. You're not doing it every time. You're doing it every third to fourth line of dialogue. When you read it out loud, you kind of see that too. It's why it's so important. I want to talk to you also real quickly about where you can find inspiration for dialogue, because you always want it to be original and cool and different. Anne Lamott is one of my just literary heroes, and she always suggests carrying notebooks around. And when you hear something funny or poignant or somebody say something that you just think is super interesting, write it down. I do this all the time. I text myself little bits of dialogue that I hear that I think are funny or interesting. If I'm in line at Kroger, if I'm at happy hour, whenever I hear it, I get my phone out and I text it to myself, and you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to try to steal it and incorporate it into my writing, because it's something that I found compelling in that moment. So that's a real good way to find inspiration. Another thing to reference to really make rapid fire, crackling, exciting dialogue is to watch old movies. I am a huge fan of like movies from the 40s that are very talky, like those Bette Davis movies and Joan Crawford movies where there's like all this dialogue and all this back and forth, and it's so intelligent and well written and well paced, and it really makes you love or hate the characters. It's a great way to learn from the masters. So get yourself your Turner classic movies out and watch them. I do it all the time. I draw so much inspiration from them, which you want to do for your writing. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I can't wait to see you all next week, and I so appreciate your attention and enthusiasm for these videos, and talk to you later.